All right, very quickly, these are the chromatographs that we made in our InkSpot lab of the different bank tellers. Okay, I'm just going to type their names over here just so you can have that for your general information here. Okay, the first one is Andrew Morgan. All right, you will notice that he had basically one color of dye, okay, all the way up the thing here, and he had basically one color. Okay, it looked black originally, but it separated and just was really dark blue, purpley one. Okay, and it went up to there. All right, then after that was Amy Hildenberg. All right, and then after that is Jenny Walters. All right, after Jenny Walters is Jim Arnold, and then SC, which is Stella Cruz, and finally the last one BM, which stands for the bank manager, which, if you remember correctly, would turned out to be the guilty party because he had yellow up here at the top of his chromatograph. Now, what we'd like to do today is find the RF values. Okay, now you can just leave this as a tab, or if you want to take a picture of it, you can open. Well, anyhow, you may want to take a picture of this just so you have it where you can look at it. So if you have a camera or something, you can take a picture of it. If not, you may just have to come back and look at this from time to time. Okay, and basically you'll notice, like, for example, Amy Hildenberg had a yellow and then kind of a reddish color and then finally a blue that went all the way to the top. Jenny Walters had basically one that went all the way up to the top, and then Jim Arnold had the same kind of greenish color as she did, but also some blue, and then, I don't know, purpley color, I'm not good, and then blue up here, and then and so forth. And you see how I've marked off the distances that each one of these traveled. Okay, what we're going to do today is make an RF value chart and measure the RF values. The RF value is like a percentage. So if the distance from the bottom of the dot to the very top was 6.3 centimeters, that's how far the water went. Okay, and in particular, Amy Hildenberg's, hers went all the way up to the very top of that. Okay, we want to find out what percent each of these did. So for Andrew Morgan, for example, we take how far the blue went, 2.4 centimeters, and divide it by the total, which is 6.3. Now, if we divide that, we are going to get a relatively small number. Okay, we're going to do 2.4 divided by 6.3. All right, if I remember correctly, you end up with something like 0.3809, blah, 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 something else. Okay, now the centimeters cancel, so we won't worry about that. Okay, then we're going to take that number and multiply it times 100. Okay, and that will give us the final answer, which in this case would be 38.09, and we want to round it to one decimal place, so we would round that to 38.1%. In other words, the ink in Andrew Morgan's went up 31.8% of the way to the top. All right, about 1/3. All right, now Amy Hildenberg's, we would take 2.8 divided by 6.3, get that answer, multiply it times 100, and that would tell us percentage for her yellow. And then we do the same thing for her red and the same thing for her blue up here. Okay, blue went all the way to the top, so guess what? It's going to be 100%. So that one's pretty easy. Okay, now the question is how we're going to write this up. Well, I'm glad you asked. All right, so this kind of talks about the same thing, and you can read it if you would like to and figure out how this works. But basically, it just says we measure how far the dye went, divided by the total distance, and times 100. And that's kind of what we did. Now, what it wants you to do is make a chart with 3 columns on a piece of notebook paper. Okay, you put the name of the bank teller. Now, in this case, he didn't have 2, he just had 1. So you put the one name, you would calculate the answer, and you would put 38.1 right here. Then you would put Amy Hildenberg, if I believe was our next one. Let me double check. Perhaps it wasn't. Then we do, yeah, Amy Hildenberg, and she had 1, 2, 3. So she is going to have 3 lines under her name. Okay, so I have her name, and then it'll have yellow, and then I believe there's red, and then the blue. And for each one of those, it will have a number over here. Okay, and you would keep doing that for each of the people. Okay, Jenny Walters is only going to have 1 die. Jim Arnold's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 dies. Stella Cruz is going to have 1, 2, 3. And the bank manager is going to have 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's look, one more there, 5 on the top. Okay, so you're going to have 5. So this is going to take a whole page. Okay, it may take a little bit more on the back if you need to. But you're going to write that information, calculate for each one of these numbers here, divide it by the total, and then times 100 to get a percent, and write that down for each of the colors. All right, and that's basically the assignment. Okay, you go back over here, so you will need to put this on a piece of notebook paper, and then maybe take a picture of it and then submit it to me. Okay, and then also answer this question: do any of the inks use the same dyes? And if so, which dyes and which Teller's pens? And you do not have to do number 3. Number 3 says do another chromatograph using a different solvent besides water. Since you're at home, you can't do that, so don't worry about that, and that's kind of an extra credit assignment anyhow. If you're interested in trying an extra credit assignment like that, then let me know and we will tell you how to do that. All right, so you need a chart on a piece of note paper and then enter this question at the bottom and then submit that to me you can do it by email. My email is, glad you asked, dmcmurray@pisd.net, right there. Okay, and that will submit it to me. Okay, so that's what I'd like for you to do. Let me know if you have any problems or any questions. Other than that, have a great Monday.